Bridgerton Season 4, Part 1 ended with a jaw-dropping twist. Benedict still has no idea that Sophie is the mysterious lady in silver he's been searching for, and to make matters worse, Araminta Gunn has shockingly moved in right next door to the Bridgertons. The creators have truly left us hanging, and I know the big questions on everyone's mind. Will Benedict finally discover Sophie's secret? And what exactly is Araminta planning now? Stay with me until the end, because I'm about to break down everything that's likely to happen in Part 2. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. Part 1 closed on a wave of emotional tension. Benedict and Sophie had grown closer after he rescued her, but everything unraveled when he asked her to become his mistress. In his mind, he was offering love and protection. For Sophie, however, it meant a life in the shadows and the risk of bringing an illegitimate child into the world. She refused. At the same time, Araminta edged closer to the Bridgertons, arriving with Mrs. Varley as her new maid after Varley left the Featherington household due to mistreatment. Meanwhile, Penelope and Queen Charlotte made a wager over whether Benedict would marry this season, adding even more pressure to his future. We also saw Michaela Sterling return, hinting that much bigger stories are waiting just around the corner. Now, let's talk about what happens in Part 2. But before we begin, consider this your spoiler warning. I'm about to go into full detail after Sophie turns down Benedict's offer. Their relationship becomes strained and quietly painful. They continue to cross paths in the Bridgerton house, but every interaction is heavy with unspoken emotion. Benedict cannot stop longing for her, and Sophie cannot stop loving him, yet neither knows how to bridge the distance between them. Violet begins to sense that something deeper is going on, especially when she notices how emotional Sophie becomes whenever Benedict is near. Then comes the moment that changes everything. During a game with the Bridgerton children, Sophie is blindfolded. Benedict hears her laugh, listens to the way she speaks, and suddenly something clicks. In an instant, the truth hits him. Sophie is the lady in silver, the woman from the masquerade, the one he has dreamed of and searched for endlessly, has been beside him all along. He is overwhelmed with shock, hurt that she never told him, and anger at himself for failing to recognize her sooner. When he confronts her, Sophie finally tells him the whole truth. She reveals that she is the illegitimate daughter of the Earl of Penwood and that after his death, her stepmother forced her into servitude. She admits she never believed a man like Benedict could truly choose a woman like her. Hearing this, Benedict finally understands her pride, her fear, and why she refused to be his mistress. She wasn't rejecting him, she was protecting herself and any child she might one day have. Just as they begin to truly understand one another, disaster strikes. Araminta seizes her chance to destroy Sophie for good. She falsely accuses Sophie of stealing a pair of diamond shoe clips years earlier. Because Araminta is a titled woman and Sophie is merely a servant, the authorities believe her without question. Sophie is arrested and thrown into a filthy prison cell cold, terrified, and utterly alone. She believes this is the end. She's convinced Benedict must hate her now and that the Bridgertons will be ashamed of her, but the story doesn't stay hidden for long. Lady Whistledown reports the arrest, and the Bridgertons quickly realize that the young woman dragged to prison by a cruel stepmother can only be Sophie. Violet immediately understands the truth and rushes to Benedict. Together, they go straight to the prison. This is where Benedict finally proves his courage. He doesn't hesitate or hide. In front of everyone, he declares Sophie to be his fiancée. With a single word, he gives her his name, his protection, and his public devotion. Araminta tries to brand Sophie a thief and a bastard, but her lies begin to crumble. Posy, her kind-hearted stepdaughter, bravely speaks up and reveals the truth. It also comes to light that Sophie was left a dowry by her father, money Araminta secretly stole and kept for herself. Suddenly, Araminta is exposed as the true criminal. With Violet's support and the truth laid bare, Sophie is released from prison. Araminta loses her power, and Posey is welcomed into a safer, kinder home. Sophie is finally free from the woman who ruined her life. Interestingly, the book never actually shows Benedict and Sophie's wedding on the page. Benedict tells Sophie that she is already his wife in his heart, and later stories reveal them married with children. However, Jonathan Bailey has shared that he filmed a wedding scene and felt an overwhelming sense of brotherly pride while doing so. This strongly suggests that we will see Benedict and Sophie's wedding on screen at the end of the season. Looking ahead, Michaela Sterling's growing presence hints at the next great love story. It's still unclear whether John Sterling will die this season or the next, but with Eloise's storyline currently at a standstill, it feels like Francesca's journey may soon take center stage. So, what do you think will happen in part 2? Let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bridgerton updates. Everything is about to change. The secrets that have been hidden, the love that has been denied, and the lies that have been quietly tearing people apart are finally reaching their breaking point. Bridgerton Season 4 Volume 2 is not just a continuation of the story. It is the moment where truth comes out, choices are forced, and lives are changed forever. Benedict has been searching for the woman who stole his heart without realizing she has been right in front of him the entire time. Sophie has been protecting herself from a world that refuses to be kind to women like her. And now, with danger moving closer and emotions running higher than ever, Volume 2 is set to deliver the most dramatic turning point of the season. This is the part where love is tested, masks fall away, and nothing will ever be the same again. Volume 2 begins in the heavy silence left behind by Part 1, the kind of silence that follows heartbreak, rejection, and words that cannot be taken back. Benedict and Sophie are no longer standing on uncertain ground. They are trapped in emotional pain that neither of them knows how to escape. After Sophie refuses Benedict's offer to be his mistress, the space between them feels unbearable. Benedict believes he has lost her, and Sophie believes she has saved herself, even though it feels like she is breaking her own heart. They continue to see each other in the Bridgerton house, but every interaction is filled with tension. Their conversations are short, their glances linger too long, and the things they truly want to say remain unspoken. Benedict is confused, frustrated, and deeply hurt. He cannot understand why the woman he loves would turn away from him when he was offering what he believed was everything. Sophie, on the other hand, carries the quiet strength of someone who has already lost too much. She knows that accepting a hidden life would mean repeating the same cycle of pain that defined her childhood. She refuses to be someone's secret, even if it costs her the man she loves. At the same time, danger is slowly moving closer. Araminta's presence next door to the Bridgertons is not accidental. It feels calculated, cold, and threatening. Sophie senses it immediately. She knows her stepmother well enough to understand that Araminta never forgives and never forgets. Every smile she offers is fake, and every polite gesture hides something darker underneath. While the Bridgertons go on with their social lives, Sophie lives with the constant fear that her past will be dragged into the light and used against her. The pressure on Benedict also continues to grow. The Queen's wager and society's expectations weigh heavily on him, forcing him to question what kind of man he truly wants to be. Is he someone who will follow the rules of his world, or is he brave enough to break them for love? What makes Volume 2 so powerful is not just the promise of answers, but the emotional tension that builds before them. Love is no longer a fantasy or a dream. It is painful, complicated, and risky. Benedict and Sophie are standing on opposite sides of fear, both believing they are protecting the other by staying apart. But fate is already moving, quietly setting the stage for a revelation that will shatter everything they think they know. And as the story continues, one truth becomes clear. The longer secrets stay buried, the more destructive they become. Volume 2 is not about if things will change. It is about how much will be lost before they finally do. Just when it feels like things cannot get any worse, Volume 2 takes a dark and shocking turn. Sophie's worst fear becomes reality, and the life she has been trying so hard to protect begins to fall apart. Araminta finally makes her move, and it is as cruel as it is calculated. She does not confront Sophie in private or seek justice in any fair way. Instead, she chooses public humiliation and absolute destruction. Sophie is suddenly accused of stealing a pair of diamond shoe clips from years ago, a crime she did not commit. The accusation alone is enough to ruin her, because in this world, the truth does not matter as much as status. Araminta is a titled woman, respected by society, while Sophie is seen only as a servant with no voice and no protection. The authorities do not question the story. They do not listen to Sophie. They do not give her a chance to defend herself. She is arrested and taken away in front of everyone, treated like a criminal before she can even understand what is happening. The prison is cold, dirty, and unforgiving. Sophie is left alone with her fear, her pain, and the belief that this is how her story ends. In that dark cell, she feels completely abandoned. She believes Benedict must hate her now, especially after everything that was left unsaid between them. She is convinced that the Bridgertons will be ashamed of her and that she has brought disgrace to the one family that ever showed her kindness. What makes this moment so heartbreaking is Sophie's silence. She does not scream or fight. She accepts the punishment quietly, the way she has always accepted suffering, because life has taught her that women like her are not meant to be saved. But this is where Volume 2 changes everything. The news spreads quickly, not through whispers, but through the sharp and powerful words of Lady Whistledown. The scandal becomes impossible to ignore. When Violet reads about a young woman connected to her family being dragged to prison by a cruel stepmother, she understands immediately. This is not just gossip. This is Sophie. And for the first time, the situation becomes impossible for Benedict to avoid. When he hears what has happened, something inside him finally snaps. All the fear, confusion, and hesitation disappear in an instant. He realizes that loving Sophie quietly is no longer enough. If he truly loves her, he has to stand beside her openly. Even if it costs him everything, Benedict rushes to the prison, not as a confused man hiding behind privilege, but as someone ready to fight for the woman he loves. This moment marks his true transformation. In front of the guards, the officials, and society itself, Benedict breaks every rule that has ever controlled him. He does not negotiate or stay silent. He declares Sophie as his fiancée, giving her his name, his protection, and his future in a single powerful word. It is a public act of courage that shocks everyone, especially Araminta. With that declaration, Benedict makes it clear that Sophie is no longer alone, and she is no longer powerless. He chooses her, not in secret, but in the open, where it matters most. This section of Volume 2 is not just about Sophie's arrest. It is about Benedict finally becoming the man he was meant to be. A man who does not hide behind society's rules when the woman he loves is suffering. A man who understands that love means action, sacrifice, and courage. And as the truth begins to unravel and Araminta's lies start to crack, one thing becomes certain. This scandal is no longer Sophie's shame. It is the beginning of Araminta's downfall. And the moment Benedict Bridgerton proves that love, when chosen bravely, can change everything, while the scandal surrounding Sophie shakes society, another truth is quietly moving toward the surface, one that will change Benedict forever. Volume 2 does not rush this revelation. Instead, it lets the tension build slowly, painfully, through small moments and emotional cracks that Benedict can no longer ignore. Even after Sophie's arrest, her presence never truly leaves him. Her voice, her courage, and the way she carries herself continue to haunt his thoughts. Benedict begins to realize that the woman he has been searching for all season, the mysterious lady in silver from the masquerade, has always felt familiar for a reason. He remembers her laugh, the softness in her voice, and the way she spoke with honesty and quiet strength. These memories start to overlap with everything he knows about Sophie, creating a sense of confusion that he cannot push away anymore. The turning point comes unexpectedly, in a moment that feels almost cruel in its simplicity. Sophie's voice, unguarded and natural, triggers something deep inside him. In that instant, the truth hits Benedict with overwhelming force. Sophie is the lady in silver, the woman who captured his heart during the masquerade, the dream he has been chasing, and the woman he loves now are one and the same. This realization is not joyful at first. It is painful, shocking, and filled with regret. Benedict feels betrayed that she never told him, but even more than that, he feels ashamed of himself. He begins to understand how blind he has been, how his privilege allowed him to romanticize mystery while ignoring the reality standing right beside him every day. When Benedict confronts Sophie, the moment is raw and emotional. There are no dramatic speeches or perfect words. Sophie finally tells him the full truth about her life. She reveals that she is the illegitimate daughter of the Earl of Penwood, and that after his death, her stepmother stripped her of her identity and forced her into servitude. She explains that the masquerade was the only night in her life when she was allowed to feel free, seen, and worthy of love. Sophie admits that she never believed someone like Benedict could truly choose a woman like her once the truth was known. Her silence was not meant to deceive him, but to protect herself from a world that has always punished her for existing outside its rules. This revelation completely changes Benedict's understanding of Sophie and of love itself. He finally sees that when she refused to be his mistress, it was not rejection, it was strength. She was choosing dignity over comfort and refusing to repeat the same painful cycle that destroyed her mother's life. Benedict realizes that he was asking her to shrink herself for his sake, even if he did not mean to. The Lady in Silver was never just a fantasy. She was Sophie all along, brave, proud, and unwilling to be hidden. This truth becomes the emotional heart of Volume 2 because it forces Benedict to confront his own growth. Love is no longer about desire or dreams. It is about understanding, respect, and the willingness to stand beside someone when the world turns against them. The reveal of the Lady in Silver is not just a romantic twist. It is the moment when illusion dies and reality takes its place. Benedict no longer loves an idea or a mystery. He loves Sophie, fully and truthfully, with all the risks that come with her story. And once this truth is spoken aloud, there is no turning back. The masks are gone, the secrets are exposed, and the final pieces of the story are set into motion. From this point forward, every choice Benedict makes carries weight, because now he knows exactly who Sophie is, and exactly what he stands to lose if he does not fight for her. This is the moment where everything truly changes, not quietly or privately, but in front of the entire world. Volume 2 reaches its most powerful turning point when Benedict finally stops choosing safety and starts choosing Sophie. After the truth of the Lady in Silver is revealed, Benedict understands that love cannot exist in the shadows anymore. Sophie has spent her entire life being hidden, ignored, and treated as if she does not deserve to take up space. Benedict realizes that if he truly loves her, he must do the one thing that terrifies him the most. He must stand beside her openly, without hesitation, and without shame. This choice does not come easily. Society is watching. His family name carries weight. One wrong step could destroy everything he has ever known. But for the first time, Benedict understands that living without Sophie would be a far greater loss. When Benedict publicly claims Sophie, it sends shockwaves through society. This is not a quiet promise or a secret agreement. It is a clear, bold declaration that leaves no room for doubt. He gives her his name, his protection, and his future, knowing exactly what it will cost him. In that moment, Benedict breaks free from the rules that have always controlled him. He refuses to let Sophie stand alone while others judge her worth. This decision is not about rebellion for the sake of drama. It is about respect. Benedict is no longer trying to save Sophie in a way that keeps her hidden. He is choosing her as his equal, standing beside her where everyone can see.